everybody. It's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. I hope you're having a fabulous day today. We are here every Wednesday to do our member spotlight, which is an interview with one of our amazing Craft Industry Alliance members. We have a chance to drop in on them, learn a little bit about what's going on in their business, and generally just kind of find out about their business journey and get inspired. So today we're going to be speaking with Holly, and Holly is going to, hopefully, I see Holly, you're here with Edmonton Fiber Frolic. If you want to join, or if you want to join from your other account, either way would be great. And we're going to learn a little bit about Holly's indie yarn dyeing business, as well as an event that she organizes for crafters. So I'm really excited to have her here. And while we're waiting for Holly to join, I also wanted to say we're having our webinar in starting a subscription box. Then I hope you'll join us on January 26th for our amazing webinar with Moira Fuller. Hey, Holly, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So nice to meet you.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you and learn a little bit more about your business and your business journey and what you're up to now, because it sounds like you've got your hands full. So if you could tell us a little bit, I know you're a yarn person, so tell us a little bit about your current business.
Yeah, I started out with crocheting, and then kind of dove down the rabbit hole of learning to knit and spin yarn and dye yarn. And yeah, so now I run a festival all around fiber arts. So
That's fabulous.
yeah.
Yeah. What led you to get into the festival business? Were you like exhibiting at it and you took it over from someone else, or how did this work?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Edmonton Fiber Frolic was started in 2016 by Allison Barnes and one of our colleagues, Jesse. And in 2020, when we had lockdown, the event was regularly scheduled in May, and they were just like, well, obviously we can't have this during lockdown. And so both of them were they were at a point where they were like, you know what, our heart's really in running our own businesses, not running the festival anyway. And so they were like, does anyone want to just take this over? Show of hands. And so I was crazy enough to be like, hey, that sounds like fun.
That's great. Well, good for you. I feel like, the pandemic pivot is just like so many people's story, whether that means stopping doing something that you were sort of burnt out from doing or starting something brand new. And I've talked to a number of business owners actually just this week who during the pandemic started a business. So, or in your case, took one over. So I think that is actually a fairly common story. So, okay. So when you did take it over, what was like some of the learning curve? I'm sure it sounds fun, but then you get into the nitty gritty and you realize, wow, this is a really big job. So tell us a little bit about that phase.
Oh my gosh, there was so much of a learning curve. Because, well, first of all, it had been, just an in-person little Edmonton, like it was started in a community hall. And the first time that we ran it virtually. So learning how to run a completely virtual event was huge. And so I had attended virtual events. I had never put a fully virtual event together. So that was huge. And I had my good friend, my best yarn friend, Angela, working with me. And like, we put it together. We figured it out. We had instructors from all over the world actually come together for us for workshops and stuff. And that was awesome. But then there was a learning curve afterwards of putting together a local in-person event. Because it's one thing to, sure, you can get workshop instructors from all over the world virtually, but then, in person, it's a different cat, right? Because then you can't really fly those people in for the same price as you can just virtually get them,
Totally.
Well, yeah, and all the logistics of an in-person event, like, do you use pipe and drape or not? Where do you get an event location that's going to meet the needs of everyone? And and all of the, like, just with COVID and stuff, how much do you require masking? How much do you not? And all of the people's feelings and thoughts about all of that stuff. There was so much to navigate through all of that. So it's been so much of a learning curve, and so much just a learning curve of the logistics of an event, but also navigating people's like emotional quotient of all of that stuff. Plus all the learning curve of, like, I was a knitting and crocheting, spinning, and was starting to dabble into weaving, but there's so much cool stuff with fiber arts. So there was all the learning curve of that too, all the different things that people like to learn about. And then I had to learn at least some of the language of what the workshop instructors were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, as a person who runs an organization for the whole crafts industry, I agree with you 100%. Like, I came from a sewing stuffed animals background, which you can see kind of behind me. And like, but I've learned so much and continue to learn about all different crafts, as well as like the needs of different people in different sectors of our industry. So I find it to be really interesting. I mean, in its essence, it's all creative work and helping other people to express themselves creatively. And so we all have a lot in common, but there are very specific things that are relevant to one sector and not to another. And, you know, I'm sure putting on an in-person event that really comes into play. So your first in-person event, was that in 2021 or 2022?
It was in the fall of 2021.
Okay.
It's sort of a hybrid. We had
Yeah.
work in person, and then we had, or sorry, workshops online, because we didn't want to have too much close proximity, and then shopping in person. But yeah, it was really small, and a lot of people were still like, is that actually happening?
Right. Yep. I remember that phase. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've really navigated a lot of different, it's been like trial by fire, because you've really navigated a lot of different environments as a show organizer, which most show organizers, you know, were very used to one sort of setup and then had to pivot, but you kind of learned it all as you went. So, okay. So then in 2022, you did it again, but probably a little bit bigger and more in person.
Yeah, in spring of 2022, we did the same venue as the fall of 2021. But more people were comfortable with coming out and more aware, because it was our typical, May has always been the typical time since 2020, 2016
I
that
see.
like happened. So more people were like, okay, it's happening. Um, and so we kind of blew the doors off of the facility. People were lined up like down the street, down the block, and actually like they were just like, okay, I got to turn around and go home. I can't wait this long to get in. And like worried about like, oh my gosh, we're going to go home with COVID. So then we were like, yeah, we gotta find a new venue. So then, yeah, so that's the thing. Every single time we've run the event, it's been a huge learning curve
Right.
of like, okay, new venue, new way of doing things, because
Right.
it's just, you know, COVID has changed. People's, you know, habits are changing. So yeah, then in the fall, we moved to the Edmonton Expo Center, which is a much larger facility, much different way of doing an event. Yeah, Ginger Snap has been one of our vendors and sponsors right from the get-go. And yeah, customers were so happy to be back. It was
That's
just,
the thing. Yeah, I will say about in-person events now is that people are so excited and so grateful and just want to see products in person, want to see people in person, learn in person. I think that there's a lot of like sort of appreciation for, and we're not taking it for granted anymore. And that's really nice. You know, I feel like people, there might be a little bit picking and choosing what they come out for, but when they come out, they're really happy to be there.
yeah, yeah. And I've been doing some work around brand and learning about branding. Like there's so much that I'm having to learn.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things, like if there are like emotions that you can choose that you want people to feel when they're interacting with your brand, what would they be, right? And of course, the first thing I want is for people to feel welcomed. And then the next one would be captivated and delighted, right? Just to walk in and feel those feelings, right? And it's definitely I would say in May, you could feel that just buzzing in the room, that
Yeah.
sort of light. And it's definitely, that's just because, you know, we sort of, it was an easy wave to ride because everyone was just delighted to be able to get out, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like people are so passionate about their hobbies and they will come out and spend money and time on the weekend or in the evening to be together around a hobby that other people share. So that's also a really nice experience for people, you know. And if you're passionate about fiber, then you're with your people and you're in your zone and you're happy, you know. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, for sure. It's like being around people who understand the words coming out of your mouth. Yeah.
Right, totally. And there's just nothing like that. And so, you know, I think another word or emotion is just connected, people feeling like a sense of belonging, right? Like that is such a powerful feeling. And if you can provide that for people around a craft, which we often do, then I think you're onto something powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So tell us about the future for this event. I think that is there a new name coming? Am I getting that right? I don't know. I want to spill the beans. So
You're always spilling the beans.
we won't say what it is or even that it's coming if that's not public information as of now.
Yeah, no, it's not public information, but
Okay.
yeah, there is a new name coming. We're working on just really um growing the festival and moving things forward with just some rejuvenation. We're really working on growing different aspects of the festival. It started out as a place for fiber artists to come together because it was started by yarn dyers to be able to have a place where we can all kind of come together for that niche. Because typical craft sale is not necessarily the place for us to find our audience all in one
Right.
place. So that's what it was started for. But my vision right now is to expand beyond uh, just that niche to more fiber artists. So like in the spring here, we're going to have an indie fashion show as part of what we're doing. And we're going to have a specific art gallery for fiber artists. And so with those aspects in place, it's just time to have a bit of a rebrand for it. So yeah, so
That's
I'm
great. So look out for further announcements. We're not spilling any more beans about it, but it sounds exciting. And I think that expansion will help it to be sustainable too over time, because it's got to be a big enough umbrella that you attract enough vendors, enough instructors, and enough consumers for it to financially be sustainable over the long haul. And that's what you want. So you have to sort of continue to evolve, right? You don't want something that's going to be stagnant. You need, as you said, to have a vision for the future. And that's your role as, you know, the leader in place. So that's great that you're thinking ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, it's coming very, very soon. There's just a few big building blocks that I'm getting into place before we can fully announce the whole.
Cool. Yeah. So when will the event take place? How can people kind of keep up with what's happening, learn how to get tickets, if vendor applications or teacher applications, that's always what our audience wants to do, is vend and teach, are open, then let us know how that, you know, is all working.
Yeah. So, and that's part of it. I'm working to get that rebrand in place before we fully open those applications.
Okay.
So it's like in the next handful of days. I was hoping that it would be like yesterday that it would be in,
right.
but you know, things happen. So in the next handful of days, it will be fully open. So for right now, the best way to keep in touch is to just go to the Edmonton Fiber Frolic website.
Okay.
Sign up for our newsletter. Or to just do the contact page and send me an email if you're interested in being a vendor or a teacher, because we are very much looking for really good quality workshop instructors right now. or like main stage speakers. That's another thing that we'd really like to have, is some good main stage speakers. Um, uh, what was I going to say? Yes. So in the next like day or two, our vendor application will be open.
Okay.
And yeah, we have, like, we already sort of opened up to some of our early bird for previous vendors.
Sure.
So, and with what I really love too is that we've been able, because we've been working with the Expo Center here in Edmonton, we've been able to already have the floor plan drawn up.
Nice.
So that, yeah, so vendors, it's not like a arbitrarily assigned space. You're actually able to choose your space when you are accepted. So it's,
Right.
we're able to do like a fully, it's kind of awesome.
That's great. And I feel like people come to these shows and they want to buy things. Like they're really primed to come away with something special, something memorable. They met, you know, the person who dyed this yarn or whatever it might be. And I feel like, so it's a really, it's a good audience to vend to, because they're really there to buy things.
Totally. And Edmontonians, well, Albertans, but Edmontonians, because, you know, they're the local audience, but the people that come to Edmonton Fiber Frolic, like, we live in the cold.
Right.
And like, we love to knit, crochet, weave, do all the fibery stuff because like it's cold here, like
Right.
7, 8, 9 months out of the year.
Totally. I live in Boston. I think you're probably a little farther north than me, but be that as it may, I relate. Live in a cold climate, you know, there's a lot more motivation to make yourself some things to keep warm. So someone had asked, thank you to everybody who's joining us. Someone had asked in the comments, are you planning for April or May?
Right. And thank you, because I was like, there's something that I forgot. Questions I forgot to answer. Yes. So we're planning for tickets to go on sale February 1st.
Okay.
And the event is scheduled for May 5 to 7.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So mark your calendar, May 5th to 7th, and make the trip. It'll be worth your while. And sign up for the newsletter so that you can kind of keep up to date with when all these different applications open, when tickets go on sale, all that good stuff, the rebrand, etc. So this has been great, Holly. Thank you so much. I'm like very excited for you with this new business. It's got so much cool potential. And, you know, I'm sure there are ups and downs and like things that are so challenging and things, but I hope that when the show actually is happening, you can like sit back for a few minutes and just look around and think, I hope to make this happen. And this is a really good thing.
Yeah. You know what it is? It is really, there are moments when it's like, oh my gosh, like this is real.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And it's really meaningful for people. And so that's great. You know, I'm so glad, you know, and I think there was probably some possibility that the show could have died completely. Like it needs a new, you know, it needed a new person to show at TLC and bring it into the next phase. And so I'm glad that it found you. That's great. And thank you for being a Craft Industry Alliance member too. We're really happy to have you.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, if there's anybody watching that isn't a member, y'all really need to sign up because
Thank you.
yeah, it's really valuable. It has added so much value to me already. Different tools that y'all recommend. So useful. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who joined and asked questions and things today. And yeah, we'll see you next week for our next member spotlight. Bye, Holly. It was great talking to you.
Bye.
Bye.